Have you ever, really looked at the money in your wallet? Not just the numbers, but the symbols, the very idea of it. Well, we're about to go deep, because according to the incredible, exhaustive research of Tracy R. Twyman, our entire financial system is built on a foundation of ancient magic, mythology, and a secret alchemy, a kind of hidden wisdom, or gnosis, that's been hiding in plain sight this whole time.
It all starts right here, with the dollar sign. This is, arguably the most recognized symbol on the entire planet. It's a simple little glyph that dictates the flow of power, of resources, and, well, even our own time. We see it every single day. But what if it means something way, way more profound than we've ever been led to believe?
And that's the question, isn't it? That's what unlocks this whole thing. Twyman argues that to understand our money, you first have to decode the symbol that represents it. And let me tell you, the answer is not what you learned in history class. It's buried in a history that's been, well, let's just say, deliberately kept in the shadows.
Okay, so the story we're all told is that the dollar sign comes from the old Spanish pillar dollar, which showed the Pillars of Hercules with a banner wrapped around them. It's a neat story, makes sense. But Twyman's work just meticulously peels back the layers to a much deeper esoteric truth, that the dollar sign is actually a stylized version of the caduceus. The staff with two serpents coiled around it, wielded by the god Hermes, the god of merchants, sure, but also tricksters and, most importantly, alchemists. Now, this is where it gets really mind-blowing, because these two ideas, the pillar and the serpent, they aren't separate. They've been linked for thousands of years. Just look at ancient Phoenician shekels. They literally show a serpent coiled around the tree of knowledge standing between two pillars. It's the exact same motif. You see it again with Hermes' reality-bending wand, and even in the Old Testament with the Nehushtan that Moses used to heal people. So the point is, this isn't just a symbol for money. It's an ancient symbol for divine knowledge and for transformation.
So let's follow that thread, because this mystical connection isn't just in the symbols. As Twyman lays out so clearly, the actual act of banking started in the most sacred places you can imagine in the ancient world, the temple. The first currencies weren't for buying bread at the market. No, they were key parts of religious rituals. In Mesopotamia, temples would issue shekels for offerings. In Greece, coins were basically tokens for sacrifices to Dionysus. And get this is brilliant. Our words money and mint come directly from Juno Moneta, a Roman goddess, because the first Roman coins were literally struck in her temple. Money was born from the divine. Now let's fast forward to the Middle Ages. You've got the Knights Templar, that legendary and super mysterious order of warrior monks. They had a really practical problem on their hands. They're sworn to protect pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land, but these pilgrims were getting robbed constantly because they had to lug around these huge, heavy sacks of gold and silver. And their solution? It was pure genius, and it absolutely changed the world. A pilgrim could drop off their gold at a Templar bank in, say, London, and get a coded piece of paper in return. They could then travel all the way to Jerusalem, present that same piece of paper at another Templar bank, and withdraw their funds. This whole system of paper representing value, all protected by secret codes, that was the direct ancestor of the modern check. A mystical order literally invented modern banking. Okay, so this leads us right to the absolute core of Twyman's entire thesis. Because if a mystical order created banking, what if banking itself is a mystical practice? What if it's a form of applied alchemy? Now, the ultimate goal of alchemy, right, was the philosopher's stone. And it wasn't just about getting rich. It was about mastering the secrets of creation, the power to transform one thing into another, to turn something worthless, like lead, into something of ultimate value, gold. So here's the big leap. What if the alchemists were looking for the wrong thing this whole time? What if the true philosopher's stone isn't some magical rock, but a financial system that can create value seemingly out of thin air? This is exactly, and I mean exactly, what modern fractional reserve banking does. You deposit, say, $1,000. The bank keeps 100 in its vault and loans out the other 900. That 900 gets deposited in another bank, which keeps 90 and loans out 810. It just keeps going. The system literally multiplies the initial deposit, creating new money all over the economy. It's a perfect mirror of the old alchemical rule. To make gold, you must first have gold. So what's the secret ingredient? What makes this whole magical system actually work? What turns those numbers in a computer into something real? It's faith. Just collective belief. Just like the alchemist had to believe they could transform lead, we all have to believe that these digital entries and pieces of paper actually have value.
And the ultimate expression of this is what we call fiat currency. The word fiat literally means by decree or let it be done. Our money has value simply because an authority says it does and because we all agree to play along. It's not backed by gold anymore, it's backed by a collective act of our imagination.
And there it is. That's the secret of the modern philosopher's stone. Our financial system has actually achieved the alchemist's wildest dream, the creation of value ex nihilo, out of nothing. It is a machine that runs on pure belief.
But hold on, every act of creation needs some kind of raw material, right? So if money is being created out of nothing, what is the invisible fuel being fed into this giant alchemical machine? This is where Twyman's investigation takes its darkest and maybe its most profound turn.
So as an expert interpreter of these really complex old texts, Twyman points to this key alchemical story involving two figures. First, you have Saturn, who represents lead, death, and just boring linear time. Then you have Mercury, representing quicksilver, youth, and that transformative spark of life. These are the two key ingredients for the great work.
And in this allegory, something violent happens. Old Father Time, Saturn, literally cuts off the feet of the speedy, youthful Mercury. The agent of change, of life and potential. It gets hobbled. It gets captured. It becomes fixed into the base matter. Its free-flowing energy is sacrificed to fuel the transformation.
See the parallel? It's brilliant. We moved off the gold standard where money was backed by a real finite physical thing. Now, Twyman argues we are on a time standard. The money is created out of nothing, sure, but it's paid for, it's earned, and it's given value by the one truly finite resource every single one of us has, our time on this planet.
Just think about how our whole system is built. The 40-hour work week, the minimum wage. What do these things do? They codify our life energy. They turn it into a commodity. They fix our fluid, youthful potential, our inner Mercury, into measurable units that can be fed into the economic machine of Saturn. The old saying, time is money, well, it's become a literal alchemical formula.
And this is where the theory hits its most shocking point. In interpreting an alchemical text that's attributed to the famous Nicholas Flamel, Twyman pulls out this passage. It suggests that the ultimate way to fix the flighty agent Mercury is through a decoction in the purest blood of young infants. Now, Twyman presents this not as some literal instruction manual, but as the deepest, most hidden layer of the allegory. The idea that the creation of value from nothing, the great work of economic alchemy, ultimately demands the symbolic, or maybe for some, the literal sacrifice of the young, of future generations, just to keep itself going.
So let's just pull it all together. From the serpent on the dollar sign, to the bankers in the temples, from the alchemist's dream to the modern Federal Reserve, the argument is that our entire global economy is one massive alchemical engine. It takes our collective faith and our finite human time as its fuel, and through a magical process, it transforms them into what we call money.
It's a completely reality-bending way to look at the world, and it reframes everything we think we know about economics. And it leaves us with one final, really provocative question. If this whole global structure is built on the magic of belief, what happens to the world if, one day, we all just wake up and decide to stop believing?